So I alluded to it in the last segment, and I think that there's been a troubling move in racing. A lot of racetracks, a lot of mostly like B and C and D level racetracks, that the only reason they stay open is because of the slot revenue or the casino revenue. It doesn't really have anything to do with racing. And I think that provides basically no incentive for the people in charge of that property to invest in racing. And we kind of saw that bear fruit or come to bear last couple of weeks ago. I'm going to quote from our old friend Bill Finley's story at the TDN. Under pressure from HISA and the local horsemen's group, Parx management has closed down its turf course after a horse broke down on the grass in the August 27th Parx Dash Stakes. The horse, whose name causes trouble, was co-owned by John Finelli and was making his 33rd career start. Quoting from Finelli, "It's always been known as a bad course, but if I knew it was that bad, I never would have put my horse on that surface. I was really upset about the condition of the course, and when I saw it myself, I was in shock." So what happened was the horse's causes trouble's trainer, Harold Weiner, shot this video, and I'll see if we can put it up, where he's walking the turf course, and dude, it looked like there had been no maintenance done to this turf course in years. Overgrowth, but then also mixed with giant holes in the ground. And he goes and sticks his hand in several of the holes. The first two kind of like go like a 6 inches or so down. The last one, he's like up to his elbow. And the fact that horses have been racing on this turf course for however many months without anybody making a peep, I think goes to show you how on top of things the Parx management is about their racetrack surfaces and their racing product. And I want to give a shout out to HISA because they came in and did like an analysis of the grass course. They came back a week later and Parx supposedly filled in some of the holes, but they said that the course lacked a lot of moisture, which is patently obvious from anybody who's ever seen a turf race at Parx. They honestly should not even have a turf course if they can't handle it. I'm quoting again. This time I'm quoting from President Bob Hutt of the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. He says the course looks like a minefield with holes that are 6 inches. I was horrified because I knew what they were going to do. Just go out there and fill the holes with dirt and then more and more races on it and send horses to their death. I could see a chain reaction where 5 horses and jockeys were killed. I can't be a part of it. He found Lisa Lazarus's number, sent her the video, and she said, "Oh my God, that's horrible. We're going to investigate." This was on a Sunday night, and I'm quoting from Hutt here. Everybody has problems with HISA, but on this particular case, the fact I was able to reach out to her on a Sunday evening and she got back to me means that she's responsible for saving many horses' lives. If it weren't for her, they would have said, the track's okay, who the hell is Bob Hutt? And they would have kept on running turf races. I don't doubt that for a second. And I don't think this is an isolated incident with the Parx turf or the Parx dirt or Charlestown or Penn National. And I've just seen so many tracks that have artificially inflated purse money continue to run horses into the ground, especially cheap horses. And no one really does anything about it. John, I'm curious, you guys left Parx, so you must have a pretty, strong opinion on this. Maybe not the turf course specifically, but just the way that track has been left to rot because they don't give a shit, it seems. They got the casino money.
Well, Joe, I think there's two things at hand here. Number one is like you mentioned, there's a lot of racetracks that are not putting money into the track themselves. That's why it's such a big deal when NYRA actually, implements an entirely new track surface with the synthetic. And that's why you got to give credit to Gulfstream Park as well, where they recognized that their turf course wasn't 100%. They addressed it, they attacked it. They had no turf racing for a window. And Churchill Downs is doing something similar where they're not, they're recognizing that they have an issue of a less than stellar course and therefore are trying to fix it rather than just kind of, throw some Band-Aids on it and hope and pray that the horses don't hit the wrong holes. And Kim Valerio from our last podcast episode was very boisterous about the fact that there are racetracks out there. She mentioned Churchill Downs. There are racetracks out there that are just, putting money to the bottom line and don't have any concern at all about where the athletes are practicing, where they're domiciled, where they're training, and it's a bigger issue than what we're talking about. The other thing that made me scratch my head about Parx in particular is, Joe, they were off for 3 weeks in the month of August. And if they knew that there was an issue, or somebody had actually walked the turf course and seen exactly what was going on there, because they don't train on this turf course, so it's not like they're going to see it on an everyday or on a regular basis. But there's enough horses that are running on it prior to that. If they saw it was an issue, they had 3 full weeks to address it, and even more so if they wanted to say, "Hey, July is usually a really barren month when it comes to water. There's a bunch of other turf courses around here where our horses can run on and continue to race and earn money." You had a window to address it. And instead of addressing it, I think they just kind of closed their eyes and kicked the ball down the road and hoped that nothing bad was going to happen. And quite frankly, that sentiment is what got the industry into the problems that we were in, or added to the problems that begot HISA in the first place. But I give Lisa Lazarus a tremendous amount of credit for addressing it, because even though it wasn't anything that she had to, investigate from a trainer standpoint or a testing issue or any things, it came down under the umbrella of safety. And that's why they went ahead and looked into it and immediately had to work. And again, say what you want about Parx. We haven't raced there in years. It had nothing to do with the turf course. It had everything to do with the trainers that some of the trainers that were there where they're taking advantage of it. But I think it made them look really bad. I mean, you can't ignore these problems anymore, especially in this day and age and this kind of climate.
Yeah, well, and it's just it goes to show you why you have to have an adult in the room, why you can't trust this industry, or at least significant sections of it, to police themselves,
right? Because
they won't do it.
No.
And you think honestly, if Harold Weiner had not gone and shot that video on that turf course, they would have shut down turf racing? Absolutely not.
Right.
They would have kept trotting horses out there. And like John Finelli said, several more might have broken down.
Right. And the biggest part of their meet is coming up in the next 3 weeks. I mean, they had all the prep races for Pennsylvania Derby Day, and that there's usually turf racing on Pennsylvania Derby and Cotillion Day. So why would you want to do that where you knew it was the biggest weekend of your racing year, and you were going to have so many eyeballs on your product? And to run the risk of having a horse break down in today's day and age and this climate, it just didn't make any sense, other than just it was a hope and a prayer that nothing bad was going to happen. Yeah,
no doubt. And I'm now quoting from the DRF story. So now Parx is trying to reopen the turf course in time for the Pennsylvania Derby card. Basically, the statement said that the irrigation system at Parx had been, quote, down for maintenance at the time the course was inspected on September 2nd and 3rd. That's when HISA went back to look at it and said it was noticeably dry. It says now the system was operational by September 4th. Wow, what a coincidence that it popped back up and was operational the day after HISA left. So basically, this is why you need an adult in a room. This is why you need a cop on the beat, because HISA now says that racing will not be allowed to resume on the turf until its track surface experts can reevaluate the course. So they can spruce it up all they want to try to get races on the grass for Pennsylvania Derby Day. But thankfully, there's someone else who's going to come in and say, no, we'll tell you. Right. We will tell you when this turf course is operational, because you sure as shit have not shown the ability to self-police and keep horses safe. And I honestly think this is the root cause of a lot of this. Is it's not just Parx. There are plenty of racetracks where the racetrack is an afterthought. It's just there to be glommed onto by the casino people. And then the casino people kick a little bit of a pittance from their slot money to the racetrack so they can keep running races there and keep the gaming license. And, this is why I think that there does need to be some consolidation in racing. I always said this. I think the wrong tracks are closing. Arlington Park, Hollywood Park, Calder. There are plenty of other tracks that if it weren't for that slot revenue, couldn't stand a chance of surviving on their own business model. And to me, Parx is one of them. And it's a real shame that a trainer had to have a horse break down and then scan the course and show the world what they had let happen to it.